are listening to the We Are West Ham podcast with me, Will Pugh, and my mate James Jones. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It really is all going what I think the colloquial phrase is Pete Tong. I've spent time trying to defend David Moyes on this podcast. James Jones, at times, has spent time defending David Moyes on this podcast. What we said was, let's just limp through to the World Cup, beat Blackburn in the League Cup and get a draw at least. Just don't lose to Leicester is what we said. What's happened is we lost to Blackburn on penalties in the League Cup and then lost 2-0 at home at the London Stadium in the Premier League to Leicester City. Not good, James. Not good at all. Nice to see you, though, mate, more importantly. West Ham, I don't really know. It's getting a bit worrying now, isn't it? I'm not sure what to do. I think, to be honest, I'm just relieved. It's sweet relief that the World Cup has come and we've got a break for a while. West Ham 16th in the league now, just 1 point above Nottingham Forest in the relegation zone. 14 points. We've got 13 points. We're actually only 4 points off the bottom of the table. A little bit more of a gulf forming between us and the top half now. I don't know where to start football-wise. In fact, I'd rather not. So, first of all, how are you?
Where do I start?
Oh, God.
I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm like you. I'm actually really pleased that we've got a 6-week break from this blasted football club. But yeah, I'm still just a little bit frustrated. But we've got 6 weeks, and the annoying thing about the 6 weeks is that I absolutely have no excitement whatsoever for this World Cup. I spoke about it a few weeks ago. It doesn't feel like a World Cup. Like, see, the industry that we work in, there's a lot of World Cup discussion, a lot of World Cup content that we're producing, and I keep having to remind myself, oh no, like it's almost Christmas, and we're preparing for a World Cup, which just doesn't feel right. No. So yeah, I'm a little bit frustrated by that as well, just because like if you're gonna have a 6-week break from the love of your life that's really annoying you, at least like fill that gap with.
Are we talking about Lucy?
No, I'm not having a 6-week break off Lucy.
Right.
No. My first love of my life.
Yeah, right.
Then at least you want to fill that break with something that's going to sort of remotely excite you and kind of make you feel a little bit better about yourself.
Or at least some sunshine.
A little bit of sunshine, maybe. I don't know, a nice beer garden, a nice chilled pint. But instead, you can't sit outside and drink because it's freezing already. So it's all a little bit depressing, mate, isn't it? But other than that, football aside, I'm okay. I'm all good, mate. Good. And it was jolly good seeing you on Friday night for your birthday drinks.
Oh, absolutely lovely, wasn't it? Got to see each other in person, even featured on your Instagram. What an absolute honour that was. Lovely evening had by all. I'll just check in with you off air. I turned up at 5 p.m. on Friday. Met a couple of my friends early doors. You informed me that you left at 8. I think you did get there fairly early, I think. You've just informed me you left at 8. Some people left around 1, 2 a.m. the following morning, and you could have told me you were one of those, quite frankly, and I don't think I'd have known. It was absolutely brilliant seeing everyone there. Couple of former podcast guests rocked up. Big Jack Rosser, he was out and about. But yeah, no, it was quite the evening. I'll be honest, though, James, I missed the game on Saturday because birthday party Friday night. I was in absolute pieces on Saturday. In absolute pieces. That's the only way to describe it. Proper like hangover for the ages. I think what we're doing this now, a little bit late this week, getting the podcast out. A couple of different reasons, but it's Wednesday. Honestly, yesterday was I woke up yesterday morning on Tuesday still feeling a bit groggy. Really not good. 31 years of age, absolutely falling to bits, mate. Yeah, it was delightful to see you. Football wise, then, I mean, we'll go on to it in a bit more detail, shall we? I think. Are you at least what are you looking forward to, though, Jonesy, coming up on the horizon? Let's try and inject some positivity into this somehow.
What, football wise?
Just life wise. Over the next 6 weeks, away from the World Cup. What are you looking forward to between now and the new year?
Well, I love Christmas. It's my
Mm.
favourite time of year.
Yep.
Just a really nice time of year. And for someone that I know I had a big moan about Halloween a couple of weeks ago, purely because
Huge. Yeah.
it's incredibly could be commercialised. So is
Mm.
Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm not in the slightest bit religious in any way, shape, or form, but I see
Right.
Christmas as a nice time to see family,
Yep.
give gifts to your loved ones, just spend a little bit of time, quality time with family that perhaps you wouldn't normally have over the course of the year because everyone's busy doing X, Y, Z. So that's
Life.
why it's my favourite time of year. I
Mm.
just love it all. But before then, we've got Harrison's third birthday,
Happy days.
which is good fun. So that's on the party's on the 10th, birthday's on the 9th. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And he's getting to the stage now where he knows he's got a birthday coming up,
Yeah.
and he also is beginning to learn who Father Christmas is.
Right.
So there's a double whammy there. Annoyingly,
That's
we
huge.
always said when it's time to have kids, we'll have a summer baby. Turns out
Yeah.
we've done the opposite. So we've got the double whammy coming up, but now we can use the whole. If you don't behave yourself, Father Christmas won't come, and he straight away stops as a little
Really?
thinks about what he's going to do. He really, really wants a marble run for Christmas
Right.
or birthday, which his
What
cousin.
is just
It's like
any?
it's like it's like a load. You build like a tower with lots of little tracks on, and you just put marbles go around. They do the loops, and they go through little holes.
Like Hot Wheels for marbles.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, his cousins have got it, and every time he goes over his cousins, you can't get away from it. So he wants Marble
Okay.
Run.
Yeah.
So we're going to get him Marble Run. I can say
Mm.
that because he doesn't listen to this, unfortunately.
Not yet.
But now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, oh mate, if you don't behave yourself, I'll put a phone call in at Father Christmas, and he won't bring Marble Run. Straight away stops. And
Oh.
part of me's like, I feel really bad for blackmailing him.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it for him anyway, regardless if he's
Uh,
mucking me about or not. But secondly, I'm like, that is literally the dream because now I've got him on a string. I've got him on a string for a couple of weeks.
Finally got him to listen
Finally.
to you.
The tables are turned now, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm in charge. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. He's got a digger themed birthday party in the
Okay.
local hall.
That's I mean, when
loves his
we were
diggers.
kids, I mean, perhaps not age 3, but I think you used to just have football parties every year. But talk me through a digger, because there's a digger land, isn't there? This
Yeah.
wasn't a thing when we were kids, was it?
Yeah, no, there is a digger land, but we've rented out a hall that we did last year, and basically everything is digger themed. So we've booked a digger shaped bouncy castle
Right.
with digger shaped soft play toys, with a
Right.
digger themed ball pit.
Right.
And
Any
there's
actual JCBs knocking about?
no, unfortunately not. But we are currently living next door to the building site, so we can just go on a balcony and have a little look at the JCBs doing their thing, which is all right.
Happy days, yeah.
But yeah, then we've got like we've bought him a little digger themed birthday T-shirt which says "I'm 3 and I'm digging it."
Love
Class,
it. Yeah,
class.
really love that. That is
Yeah,
class.
got,
Yeah.
like, digger tissues. You've got a digger birthday cake. Diggers everywhere. Literally diggers
Yeah.
everywhere. So yeah, no, that's what I'm looking forward to most because he's going to be 3. And yeah, his little face. He wakes up every morning. He goes, "Is my birthday yet?"
Mm.
So it's like, no, mate, still got a bit of way to go.
Love it. I love
yeah.
that. I'm not sure, Jonesy. I mean, talk me through this. I've had this conversation before. Any parents listening, I'm sure will tell that I got absolutely nowhere near having kids. It feels that when you said that, like, oh, the Father Christmas won't come. I just feel bad. I'm like, oh, the poor kid's like not even 3 yet, and yeah, I just feel like he's probably poor little heart. He's probably big spike of anxiety, worried that he's not going to get the toy that he's absolutely dreaming of. But then on the other hand, I guess it depends what he's doing. If he's been getting on your wick literally all day, I'm sort of saying it as if I wouldn't be reaching for any tools available to me to.
No, I mean, it did make me feel like last night's a great example. You wouldn't go to bed, kicking off a fuss. And in the end, like Lucy trying to get him down, he won't happen. So in the end, I went in. He's in absolute state, tears, the lot. Just doesn't want to go to sleep. So I've just said to him calmly, "Look, mate, Father Christmas just texted me saying he can see you causing an absolute scene here, and he said that just give Harrison just warn him that we're getting close to Christmas. We're getting into territory where Marble Run might not come, the other toys might not come." He looked at me and shook his head. He was like, no. I was like, the only way that you can make Father Christmas happy now is if you get into your bed and go to sleep. And what does he do? He gets into his bed, he lies there. I lie there with him for a little bit, and then he falls asleep. And I walk out, and Lucy's looking at me like, I tried that a minute ago, it didn't work. And I was like, it's the conviction, it's the execution.
Oh, mate,
so
that is horrible. My heart, Harrison's poor little heart, the poor kid.
But he woke up this morning in his little West Ham pajamas, and I was like, don't worry. Father Christmas said that you're still safe, so he knows things he's still in good territory.
Horrible.
But yeah, it's something that I always thought I was something I always thought I'd have to do at some point, but never really wanted to. But
how many years do you reckon you've got of flexing that muscle then?
I reckon about 5 more years. I mean, what age do kids stop believing? It's got to be about 7 or 8. I remember when
my mum told me I was in macro and Rayleigh in the calf, and I already knew. And she was like, "Listen, Father Christmas isn't real." I was like, "I know, Mum. I'm 26." I found out last year.
Yeah.
No, I would say I was about, I don't know, probably it's got to be like what? It's primary school age, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought six or 7, maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah, no, I want a bit older than that. Maybe 8 or 9.
I don't know.
No, maybe 8. Yeah, 9 feels a bit old, doesn't it?
I mean, 9.
I think I was working age 9.
Yeah, like I try and compare it to what age I was at primary school. You go into year 7, didn't you? At secondary school when you were about 11.
11, yeah. Actually,
right?
Yeah.
So, and if you rock up at secondary school in year 7 and start saying that you believe in
spouting up about Santa, right? yeah,
you're in trouble. Yeah. You're off to a really bad start, aren't you?
Yeah. So you're never clawing that back, are you?
Yeah. So it's got to be. I mean, I'm pretty sure even in year 5 and year 6,
year 5
before then, I don't really recall thinking that I believed in him. So it's got to be year 3, year 4 in it. So I would say
I'm going to plumb about. All right, we'll meet in the middle on 7. So what do you reckon? You got 4 more years.
4 more years of it, and this is the first year where he's aware of Christmas. Last year he was only just 2, and kind of really, I mean, all he was worried about was waking up on Christmas morning getting presents, and he kind of didn't really know why he was getting presents.
Yeah. Sure.
Whereas this year he's now talking about Father Christmas. We're able to blackmail him with Father Christmas, and it's like okay, now this year is going to be pretty special because he's going to understand a lot more. If you know what I
mean. Yeah. I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. Once again, absolutely nowhere near. Another year ticks past. I'm absolutely nowhere near having children. So as fun and exciting as all that sounds, I've got absolutely nothing to come back with you. Jonesy, you know what? Can we just, at some stage, I don't know how much interest there'll be in this because I don't think we're really relevant outside of the West Ham sphere. But it would just be like, we should do a podcast on something else because there's like this impending sadness that we have to stop talking about that fun stuff and spend the next half an hour, 45 minutes talking about West Ham.
I genuinely think there's scope to have a spin-off, which is like us just talking about really mundane stuff. Building sheds, blackmailing kids.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Email admin, like all that really fun stuff we've done in the past. I definitely think there's a spin-off to be had.
Yeah. I mean, we sort of I would say exist at pretty polar opposite ends of the like possibility spectrum of 2 blokes in their early 30s, don't we? You have a family, are married, small child. I am the most single it's possible for a human being to be. Most of my, I've got a lot of fun dating stories, but I don't know if the complete disparity and juxtaposition that is our lives, where they're just so opposite, it would just be us, you telling me stuff that I couldn't relate to at all, me telling you stuff back that you probably can't relate to at the moment. I'm sure you went on 1 or 2 dates in your time, contrary to popular opinion. But yeah, I don't really know. I mean, bathroom refurb chat, I don't know really after a while. I don't know just who blokes in their early 30s talking about fairly dull things about their life. I don't know how much appetite there would be for that, do you?
I don't know.
No, let's see.
Unless we try it, we don't find out, do we? So we might as well do it.
This much is true, mate. Yeah, this much is true. Right. You can follow us on Twitter at @WeAre_West Ham. You can get me on at William Pugh _. James is at by James Jones. We're on Instagram at We Are West Ham Pod, Facebook and YouTube, particularly YouTube, actually. Search We Are West Ham Podcast. You'll find the channel. James, you've done a flipping sterling job on the YouTube channel. I'm quite happy. I mean, you've done a flipping sterling job on most of the podcasts this year, quite frankly. But the YouTube channel, the subscribers are going. I went on there the other day. I think we're closing in on 1,000, which is pretty good. The views are reasonable as well, as I understand. So congrats on that. We've got 6 weeks off, so now is as good a time as any to go and look back on our YouTube channel. If you don't subscribe already, go and have a look, watch a few of the videos. So congrats on that. That's We Are West Ham Podcast on YouTube. You can email us if you so wish at wearewesthampod@gmail.com, and you can buy us a pint and support the podcast. Me and Jones, actually, Jonesy, we didn't spend any. I barely spent any money on Friday, which was one of the perks of having a birthday party. But we did have a beer together, which was lovely. So you can buy us a beer, me and James, if you want to, at buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham. I appreciate the concept. It might be a bit confusing because I say that every week. All it basically is, you go on there and you can, buy us a pint, and effectively they're a £5 each. So that money comes straight into mine and James's joint podcast account. We only spend it on podcast equipment or guest fees or whatever it is to make the podcast better. Or over the bar. When we're together in person on actual pints. So if you want to do that, it's buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham. Jonesy, I think that's it for admin. I don't think I've left anything else off. So we better talk about football. Stay with us, because first we'll look back to the Leicester game next. James Jones, West Ham 0, Leicester 2, leaves us floundering towards the bottom end of the table. A little bit of a, I don't know, mate. I don't know what's happened, really. It doesn't seem absolutely catastrophic, does it? I'm going to interject now. Very surprised face you've just pulled then. Interrupted my flow somewhat. Is it West Ham related?
No,
or have you seen a personal message come up?
I have seen a personal message come up. I'm not too sure whether I should say this.
I think you should.
It'll be fine. No, basically, Lucy's sister's just gone into labour, so we've got another baby on the way very quickly.
Crikey.
So only 10 days late, I think. So
No wonder you look so stunned. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure my introduction isn't that exciting.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, it just caught me off guard a little bit. But
Congratulations to Lucy's sister. Do you have to do anything off the back of that information, or are you happy to continue?
I'm happy to continue. It's absolutely fine.
Excellent. You're scurrying off to the midwifery department or wherever it is that people deliver children these days. West Ham 0, Leicester 2. I don't know, James. I don't know what's going wrong. I don't know. We've got a bit more time this week, obviously, with no games to look ahead to dig into it a bit more. I don't know what's happening, mate. It hasn't really seemed absolutely catastrophic at any point. But obviously the league position is, not catastrophic. It's just, I tell you what it is. It's just pretty rubbish, isn't it? But it's not like super bad. But it's a weird place to be. It just doesn't feel bad enough to take any drastic action. But it's also definitely not good enough either. Talk about the Leicester game first then, Jonesy. As I said, I was in absolute pieces on Saturday, so I didn't make it to London Stadium. You can imagine how totally disappointed I was. Not when I saw the scoreline come in after I'd recovered from a 10-hour recovery nap. Talk me through it.
David Moyes after the game came out and said he thought we played well enough to win the game, which I would agree with to an extent, but the fact is we didn't. And the reason why we didn't is because which it's been the story for most of our season so far, is that we just really struggle to score goals. I think only 5 teams. I was doing some research earlier in the week. Only 5 teams have had more shots on goal than us this season.
Was that for a BBC Sport column
That was for the BBC Sport column that we do.
that we
every
write
week.
every week? In case you didn't know that already.
And those 5 teams are Man City, Arsenal, I think Tottenham, Newcastle, and someone else. But we've only scored 12 goals, which is the second least of anyone in the Premier League. We average in about 17 shots a game. So that's the problem, because the performance against Leicester wasn't the worst performance of the season. I would say that was Palace at home the week before. It wasn't the worst performance. We were probably good enough on the day to take something. But the fact is that Leicester basically played us at our own game, let us have the ball, which we don't like to do, and then caught us on 2 counter-attacks and scored them. That's the evidence. That's all the evidence that David Moyes needs going into this 6-week break. How do you fix that? And for me, the only way you fix it is you've got to change your tactics, because it's very obvious that we've been found out this season. The last 2 years, most of our success was built on let the other team have the ball, psych up the pressure. We're still very good defensively this season. We've only conceded, I think we've got like the 4th or 5th best defence in the league. So we're still good defensively. And all the success was psych up the pressure, catch teams on the break, score, because last 2 years we've been very clinical in front of goal. At the moment, we're missing that part. The fact is, teams are now noticing that that's West Ham. That's West Ham. If you give West Ham the ball, they'll struggle. They're not a possession team. So that's what Leicester did. They came to us. They let us have the ball. They were quite happy sitting back. Caught us on 2 breaks, beat us, knowing that we were very, very dodgy in front of goal, and knowing that they could let us have pepper their goal, and we probably wouldn't score, which was true. So that's my takeaway from it. He's got 6 weeks now to work out what to do and how to fix it, because something needs to change. And at the moment, I don't think it's him that needs to change in terms of managerial situation, but the club will be forced into making a change if it continues the way it is. But in terms of Leicester, the performance wasn't bad, apart from the fact that we didn't score any goals. And still, even then, don't really have any complaints with the defeat either. It's like, if you're going to concede 2 goals and give away a penalty, which I still think was quite dubious, then you kind of do deserve to lose in the end. So it is what it is.
Yeah, the penalty was a weird one, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Because he slides in, he gives the referee a decision to make, and that's sort of the thing I always say, isn't it? Is that if you give the referee a decision to make, then you are culpable.
Well, the referee made a decision, and his decision was no penalty to begin with. He's given him.
You know what I mean, or the officials. Yeah.
But then as soon as he goes there, we'll look at it back on the monitor on the side of the pitch. You kind of know he's going to turn it over. But then we're looking at the replay on the big screen after, and we're just like, that's not a penalty. I think the only reason they give it a penalty is because Patson Daka stays down the floor and doesn't move for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if he seriously injured the guy, then maybe it is a bad tackle, and it looks a little bit worse than what it was, or it was worse than what it looked. And then Patson Daka just gets up and sets up their second goal. So
yeah, I don't know what I thought it was. I thought it was one of those where, when you look at it didn't look like a clear and obvious error to me, which is supposed to be the threshold to send the refs over to review. But again, I don't know. You sort of slide in like that. It just seemed, you've got to be sure, haven't you? And if you don't clearly swipe the ball away there, then there's a decision to be made. Good save by Fabianski. He made a couple of good saves in the game, actually. That's the other thing, Jonesy, is that you mentioned there about we're just not scoring goals. If Leicester score that, a couple of other efforts they had that Fabianski was forced into good saves, on another day, 4 of them, it could have been a 3-1 or a 4-1. It didn't it?
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It's hard, mate, isn't it? It's hard to put. I'm finding it hard to. I know you said there, obviously, it's the goal scoring. But what is it in your opinion? What is the crux of it? Like, what needs to change? Because we bought the striker in. I don't want to see Mikel Antonio back in the team. But is that short-sighted? Are we actually missing him? Are we just waiting for Skamaka to click? Tell me, what is it you think that needs to change? Because before we could tell, couldn't you? We'd get the ball into good positions. Antonio would fluff them a lot of the time. Benrahma's really wasteful, and I think that's why it looks like we're playing okay, because we seem to do all of the mechanics of football pretty well, right? And this, I know we argued about it at the time, but this goes back to the good performance we had, or in your eyes, at Liverpool, and even at Manchester United. Arguably, we seem to be doing I don't know, the middle of the pitch pretty good. Like, we seem okay in the middle of the pitch, and like the passing doesn't seem particularly bad, does it? It doesn't seem. It's not like you're missing loads of passes. We're defending okay, as you mentioned about the stats there. Certainly in the top half defensively in the league. So, and it's sort of, I don't know. I can't really put a thing when you say it's all we're all saying. Oh, we need to score more goals. How do we do that? Do you think? Where's the problem? Is it Skamaka? Is it the build-up play? Is it we're not being direct enough? Are we being too direct? It's hard from my point of view at the moment to really say, oh, it's this. This is annoying. This happens every week.
I think there are two standouts in particular that I keep coming back to in my mind. Is, first of all, Skamaka showed a lot of promise. Some of the goals he scored for us have been very good, but he's, with every passing week, almost mimicking Sebastian Haller's career at West Ham, in that he's not getting service. He's not getting enough service.
I don't think that was 100% Sebastian Haller's problem, but yeah, go on.
but what I mean is that there are times where he doesn't genuinely look interested. He's not running about very often. He's not getting him every now and then. I've noticed it in a few games where he will make a run and the players either won't spot it and he won't get the pass, and then later on in the game he'll then decide not to make the run because he's not getting the ball, and players will play the pass. So there's clearly an issue there with communication. But I just think he's still so isolated. And that was Haller's problem. He was always so isolated up front. Then when we
and rubbish.
Well, I mean, look what Haller did after.
Nah, I told you before, I could go and score at Ajax.
No, Sebastian Haller, was always a very, very good striker. Just didn't use him correctly, and I fear that that's where we're heading with Skamaka. He's proven he can score goals. Haller proved that he can finish when he was at West Ham. Skamaka's proven that he can finish already with 6 goals. But we're just not getting the ball to him enough, and we're not giving him the right service in the box. The guy's 6'5" for crying out loud.
Yeah.
In the box. So that's number one. I just don't think he's being utilised correctly.
Yeah.
And whether it's a case if you change your formation and you bring Antonio alongside him, maybe there might be an argument for that. I don't know. But the other main problem is Paqueta for me. He's not a number 10 and he's not a shadow striker. If you watch him for Brazil during the World Cup, he'll start pretty much every game, I'm sure, for Brazil in the World Cup. And he'll be playing as an 8.
Yeah. And why can't we? Why don't we do this? Why do we do this?
Like, play him as an 8, and you just, my mates are going, oh, he don't do it. I'm pretty sure he's never done anything for us. He doesn't do anything. It's like, well,
what, alongside Deckers, you mean?
Yeah, play him alongside Declan Rice. I know, like, we've been banging the drum about putting Downs in there instead of Souček, but you've just spent 50 million quid on this guy. A player that there's a reason to be starting for the favourites to win the World Cup in 6 weeks' time, or throughout the next 6 weeks. But he'll be playing there as a 6, an 8. Sorry, play him as an 8. If he's playing for one of the best national teams in the world in that position, why aren't you doing the same for his club? And that's the problem, because then mates after the Leicester game again, Paqueta, what a waste of money, he doesn't do anything. It's like, well, if you'd be saying that about if you start playing Scamacca at left back, you'd be going, Scamacca don't do anything. It's a joke.
He's rubbish at left back.
He's rubbish. It's like you can't really have a proper judgment on this player. Club record signing. If he's regularly played in the position that he isn't good at or isn't as effective at, you know what I mean? So,
but let's give it all some credit then, right? Because they obviously would have had that conversation, surely.
You'd like to
him
think
and
so,
Moise.
yeah. You'd like to think so.
I don't know.
But then
I don't know. No, it's just that's what I mean. You know, you do see it with some players, right? That play in different positions for their nation than they do for their teams. But I don't know. I don't know. And then who do you play in there? I suppose. What do you just does it work? I don't think that's defensive enough for Moyes, is it? I don't think it's defensive enough for Moisey to have Declan Rice and Paqueta as the two at the base.
Potentially, maybe it's not. But the fact is that defensively we're very good, but going forward we're not. Right. So there has to be a switch in balance in that setup.
Yeah.
There has to be a switch of balance. Otherwise, if we continue going down the same road and the same tactics that he's using at the moment, basically with the same players in the same positions, then it's not going to improve. Nothing's going to improve.
No.
So he's got to do something. And I think when you spend 50, 60 million pounds on a player, and then you spend the first 15 games playing him out of position, and he's the one that we're supposed to be
it's
going
just
right.
Laughable, isn't it?
He was the signing that everyone went, find a bit of creativity. But he's only creative when he's playing in that favoured number 8 role, where he can dictate playing midfield and do what he has to do and create chances for the likes of Scamacca, get the ball really quickly to Bowen, Fornals, Benrahma, whoever's in front of him.
Yeah.
And he'll do that job far more effectively than both Souček and Downs. Right? To do it. Like, Deck's defensively good enough to be able to just hold back when he needs to, and then potentially go forward when he needs to.
Yeah. World class going forward, apparently, isn't he?
Exactly. So they're the two main problems. And I think if you fix the Paqueta problem, you fix the Scamacca problem.
Yeah.
Because suddenly he's getting more service going forward, because you've got a player in midfield there who knows how to get the ball forward into the final third and progress play. At the moment, we don't have that because Souček's not very good at it, right? And Declan Rice, I mean, it's not really him. No. So I don't know. That's why I think it is. And if you fix that problem, you fix the other problem, and then suddenly we improve. But if none of that's fixed, we're going to literally be sitting here in
flounder
6, 7, 8 weeks' time, literally having the same conversation.
Yeah, bit of a confusing one, James, isn't it? Perhaps we put a call in for Ruben Amorim, Sporting Lisbon. I fancy him properly. He's just like next hot thing on the after press, isn't he? Coming up out of Europe, get him in charge. Well, Jonesy, I mean, anything else to add on the Leicester game? I don't know. It's just one of those. We can't keep on going through the rest of the season going, well, we weren't too bad, but we lost again. Well, we can't keep doing that.
That's where my mindset is at the moment. I know after both the Liverpool Man United games, I was still remaining quite positive. But then since then, we've lost to Palace, we've lost to Blackburn in the Cup, we've lost to Leicester. And you know, I was on the basis of those two performances at Anfield and Old Trafford. I was like, well, you know, if we continue with that quality of performance, then we've got well enough to beat all three of those teams, or at least get out of the 2 league games, at least get 4 points. And that hasn't happened. And now I'm thinking, I'm not quite David Moyes out yet, because I think he deserves the opportunity to work it out in the next 6 weeks and try and put it right.
We can't. I'll be honest, mate. We can't keep saying that.
No, you can't.
I know we're the two of the more patient, give him a bit of a chance thing. But
We
we can't keep doing that. It's got to be
can't.
realistically the 6 games after the World Cup, you want 4 wins, really, don't you?
Well, the
Because
problem is their first game back is Arsenal away, which is not the best start you want really after the problems we've had. But then you've got Brentford at home, Leeds away is going to be tough, Wolves away that might be okay, Everton at home, and then you go Newcastle,
but they're winnable,
Chelsea,
mate, aren't they?
but
Is
then
what I'm saying.
but then you've got Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, Tottenham away, and if you're not picking up points before that run of 3 games at least, then you're in trouble. There have been reports that he's got to hit the ground running when we come back, which I'm not too sure about how true that is. Given the board will know that we've got Arsenal away at Boxing Day. I mean, if they're expecting David Moyes to go there and hit the ground running, then they've got another thing coming.
David, notoriously good away at Big Six sides, Moyes.
Yeah, and particularly one that just doesn't seem to want to lose any games of football this year. In the league, at least. I don't know, mate. I don't know. I think if by mid-January nothing's changed, then you make the change purely because suddenly you're in dangerous territory.
Yeah.
I think he's earned the right for the next 6 weeks to try and fix the problems. Yeah. And if he listens to this podcast, he would have found the problems.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. Well, thing is, to be fair, we have been pointing him out to him for a few weeks now. And I know we obviously know he listens, but, Moisey.
Too stubborn, isn't he? Too stubborn.
Yeah. Perhaps that's what it is, because he does not like being called Moisey, does he? That journalist called him Moisey a few weeks ago. And he had a right old pop at him, didn't he? Moisey! And then he was like, we're not that close, are we? Oh, I've just said that, but in a Scottish accent. Jesus Christ. Right, come on, James. Just move on. Talk about another grim defeat, shall we? Blackburn defeat in the League Cup. Reaction to that next. James, 10-9 on penalties. I think you were the only person left in the stadium when Angelo Ogbonna rattled his one off the bar and it didn't bounce down over the line, as happened to us twice away at Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Bit unfortunate. The game was a very grim affair, wasn't it? A very grim affair. I was working, so had the pleasure of not being present at that one either. My dad went along, and frankly, I'll be honest, he left. He went along with my sister, who was absolutely mortified to be there as well. He left on 70 minutes, and he said it was so bad. He left at 1-1.
Yeah.
No, he said it was so bad that, but I don't know what the official attendance was, Jonesy, but it looked about 25,000 in there.
I think it was about 45 in.
Really? What, actually in?
Yeah, pretty sure there was 45 in.
Oh, well, fair enough. If it looked absolutely ghost town on the screens that I saw, but I mean, again, talk us through it. What you thought? Does it matter? First of all, does it matter?
I don't particularly think it does, in the sense that it's one less competition to worry about in a season where it's very clear that Premier League is obviously the priority, but David Moyes is going to want to go deep in Europe again. I think the main issue last year, I know we've added depth, but the main issue last year was that we went quite deep in every competition, quarterfinals of both domestic cups. So yeah, one less competition to worry about. It's probably a good thing this season, given what's going on. But I mean, just the way you go out like that, and like you go 1-0 down early doors, and I wasn't that worried when they scored within 5 minutes or whatever it was. Just like, that's annoying. I mean, to be fair, it was a great part. It was a great through ball for their player. Proper fizzed it into him, turns and shoots, scores. And we all turned around and went, "Cool, what ball that was!" Like, just not even bothered about the goal. Just like, fair play. Yeah. And then Fornal scores, luckily off a deflection, with the ball kind of cannoned off a defender into his path and scores, and then we get a very similar situation with the second one. You just think, right, done. Right, just see the game out now. You're a better team than Blackburn. No disrespect to Blackburn, but better team than them. So just see it out now.
You'd hope, wouldn't you?
Just see the game off. And then obviously Ben Brereton Diaz comes off the bench. The one player that, allegedly West Ham have been trying to sign for the last 2 years.
Whatever, mate. Yeah, him and about 900,000 others.
And he comes off the bench, and I literally said to my mate, watch him score. Watch him score. And then what does he do? Pings one in top corner. And it's just like, oh, yeah, great. Lovely. And if I'm honest, mate, I would have much rather have had extra time than gone straight to penalties. Just because, just knew what was going to happen. You could tell it straight away. At least in 30 minutes of additional time, you've got a little bit of control over how you trying to win the game. Yeah. And it didn't help in the penalty shootout, mate. And it was beginning to really, really, really annoy me. And I was like, they've got to sub him off. Can you make a sub during the penalty shootout? I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't think you can.
Right, Areola. But
mate,
the next time we have a penalty shootout, he's got to come off. He dived the wrong way for every single penalty. The wrong way.
About 10 minutes before as well.
So come on, surely you by now you're a professional international Premier League goalkeeper.
You used to play for Paris Saint-Germain. For God's
mate,
sake.
Come on. You should know roughly how to read a penalty taker, especially the centre backs. They don't know how to take a penalty. They just don't think they can hit the target. And somehow he's just dived the wrong way every time. I think he dived the right way once actually, and I think dived over it or something.
Yeah.
It was I'm shouting at Moisey, get him off. I don't even know if you can get him off. I don't know. And it was and Ogbonna walks up, and you just knew, he's going to miss this. And it got to the point in the shootout where it was like, I don't care if we miss one now. I'm getting a little bit bored of this because that every time
I'm just getting bored of watching Alphonse Areola dive 500 yards to the left of where the penalty is going to be hit.
Every time Blackburn steps up for a penalty, you knew he'd score it. As long as he hits the target, he's going to score. Right? Just Areola's diving the wrong way.
Areola's already on the floor as the bloke's putting the ball on the spot.
Yeah, every time we rocked up with penalty, it was like, oh, who's taking this one? Oh, it's Lanzini. Oh, yeah, it's fine. He'll score that. Yeah. You trust it. Who's taking this one? Craig Dawson. Oh, he did take a good one against City last year, but still not sure. And then he scores it. And then you go through all the players and you think, this is the one that misses, doesn't miss. And you're like, oh, we might be all right here until Areola's got to save one. And then Ogbonna steps up, and that was the one where I was just like, do you know what, part of me hopes he misses because I'm bored of this now. It's so bored. Because then suddenly you're into goalkeepers got to take a
Areola's going to take one, and
Areola's going to hit it straight at their keeper probably, right? Rather than go the wrong way, he's going to go.
Areola waits for the keeper to dive and then passes it that way.
Pass it to him. So, mate, that's not how penalties work. It got to the point where it was becoming a little bit like
Areola's fuming. He's like having a go at the keeper. What are you diving the same way I've kicked it for? That's not what you're supposed to do.
Supposed to do exactly. So it got to the point where it was quite entertaining for me at least because I was like, well, this is we need to hope they miss the target because if they hit the target, there's just another goal on it.
Just like literally walking up to the ball, just passing it down the middle.
They must have been saying to each other, "Just hit the target, boys. Just hit the target.
Just hit it low and hard.
Hit it low and hard. He's going to go the wrong way."
He was diving so far, as in he was diving miles every time. And it's like, what are you doing? You nearly dived outside of the posts.
because he's doing that, because he's diving so early. The strikers are reading him straight away and just going, done. Like no problem. I've never seen such a bad goalkeeping performance in a penalty shootout before, and it's terrible.
It is weird not to accidentally save one, isn't it? You've got to go out your way not to save one at some point.
Yeah, or at least get your hand on it, and even if it goes in, at least you almost saved. That's fine.
Yeah.
Even the one that he did dive the right way, he dived over it, and God, what are you doing to get Fabianski in there? But yeah.
No, it is what it is, mate. Isn't it? It's what it is. Yeah, it's hard to be bothered, isn't it? Frankly,
It is,
get
yeah,
her out of
which
that.
is annoying, really, because we should
Oh, it'd have
be.
been much easier to be bothered if I'd have gone and stayed as you did till the death and watched us
Yeah,
take
I think
10 penalties and then
yeah,
watch the keeper doing cartwheels across the goal before each one was taken.
I
But
think I would
yeah,
be more bothered. I mean, no, I think it's frustrating that after the 2 years we've had that we're not in a position to be going right. Let's go for every competition we're in. Like we've built the platform for us to really, which is what we should be doing this season. 2 years of building a platform and foundations for progress. And we even said at the beginning of the season, this is probably the year that we should be looking at trying to win a trophy. But because of what's happened now, we're not even that bothered that we've gone out the League Cup on penalties to Blackburn Rovers in the third round. It's just like,
yeah,
well, we could really do without winning that trophy at the moment because we've got to worry about staying in the Premier League. And it's just quite
and we're going to
sad that
win the Conference League.
yeah, it's just quite sad that we're in this situation when we really thought that maybe this is the year that we probably go for it. And what makes it worse? Almost every big club went out as well. I think the only big club left is like City. Oh, Man United. Like, come on, that's a massive opportunity, and we've blown it because Ariola doesn't know how to save a penalty.
Oh dear, dear, oh dear, oh dear. Never mind. Well, listen, look, James, bit of a grim way to sign off for the World Cup. But stay with us. We have some final thoughts. We'll let you know what we're up to the next few weeks. Me and James will do a couple of World Cup predictions. And now all of that will be next. Well, James, 6 weeks off from West Ham. Is it 6 weeks?
It's about roughly, yeah.
That's just a bit less than 6 weeks, maybe 6 weeks off from West Ham. We're going to have a couple of weeks off of the podcast. We're going to give ourselves a much needed break. Obviously, it'll be pretty busy and stuff over Christmas. We sort of obviously will decide what happens then. But likelihood is, as we always take a 2-week break at Christmas. We'll discuss that, but the likelihood is obviously we're gonna take a break now, so we'll likely keep going over the festive period. We'll probably do at least one podcast during the World Cup. Not exactly sure when yet, but it'll probably be some perhaps after the group stage around the middle section, somewhere like that. We'll do one podcast, and then before we get back at it with all the normal opposition views and Premier League stuff, just when that kicks off. So Boxing Day, our first game back, James.
Away at Arsenal.
There you go, Arsenal away. I think line myself up a ticket for that one, which is good. What do you think then? Go and look, ignore West Ham for a minute. I think we've done that one to death. World Cup, England-wise, confident? Come on, we got just to say yes, even if you're not, mate. Even if you're not, we can't end on another bleak note. No, I actually am. I genuinely think we're going to be all right.
I've seen a lot of people go, I'll predict that we won't get out of the group. I don't think we've got that. We've got to worry about that. I think we will get out.
Mate, you say that. All 3 teams in our group are in the top 20 in the world.
Yeah, but I still think we're good enough to get out of that group. But I did hear someone say the other day that no England team has made it past the World Cup quarterfinals at a tournament that's outside of Europe. So the way I see it, based on history, if we make it to the quarterfinals, I'll be a happy man. But I don't know. I just think I don't really care now.
This is a football podcast. You've got to care.
I do care. I do care, and I know that once it kicks off, I'll be a little bit more enthusiastic about it. But I don't know. I don't think we're going to handle the heat well over there, which I think will count against us and probably quite a lot of other European sides. It's Brazil's or Argentina's to lose in my book. So yeah, if we get as far as the quarterfinals, then brilliant, great, happy days. I think that we should look at that as a success. I think based on history and based on where it is, and the form that we're in, which is not very good form at the moment. So I would definitely take that. But sometimes you just never know about England in major tournaments under Gareth Southgate. Obviously, 4 years ago.
What, as in because we're so good?
That's what I mean. Like outside of tournaments,
Yeah.
we've like particularly recently, we've not been very good.
Yeah,
We got relegated.
Nations League, yeah.
But we got into a tournament 4 years ago at the World Cup. Caught everyone off guard. No one expected to get to the semi-final, and we got there. I mean, we should have got to the final, really.
Yeah.
And then Euros, only 18 months ago, you get to the finals of that and lose on penalties. So I don't know what he does to the team in major tournaments, but it's something. It seems to work. So maybe I might be pleasantly surprised in 6 weeks' time. We might be talking about a semi-final or even a final. But I do genuinely think at the moment it's very unlikely given the circumstances around the tournament.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to back us to get to a semi. I reckon we end up getting France in the quarters, isn't it? I think Senegal, I think, is a likelihood if we win the group. I appreciate it might be being a bit premature. I fancy 2 wins and a draw in the group stages. I've got a horrible feeling the draw will be against Iran as well, and it will make it a little bit squeaky bum time. I think that game against Wales is going to be. There's going to be loads to play for on that. I think the group's going to be quite tight and interesting, I think. And then I think we get Senegal, who it looks like we would end up getting in the last 16, and then probably France if we get through after that. And I fancy us to beat France. I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but they're just a weird. I know they're the holders or whatever, but they got a couple of injury problems. I don't know. I fancy us to beat France, get to a semi, and then obviously it's anyone's from there, isn't it? But just quick prediction then. Who do you think is going to win it?
Argentina. I want to see Messi lift the World Cup.
No, I really, really don't. I really hope they go out because it annoys me anyway. Because I think Cristiano, I'm a Ronaldo over Messi man anyway.
But we're going to fall out soon.
There's no point arguing over that, is there? Because he played for one club all of his life, just stayed within his comfort zone, and was all right against Ronaldo's going around Europe, just smashing up any league he goes and plays in. So he is clearly the best. So there's really debate to be had. He single-handedly dragged Portugal to the. I'd sooner see Portugal. I'd much rather see Portugal win it than Argentina. So no, I don't know. I've got a horrible feeling. I know they've been rubbish, but it just wouldn't be a World Cup unless Germany was sniffing around the final, would it? I know everyone's like written them off already, but they will turn up, guaranteed. Thilo Kehrer scoring a winner in the quarterfinals or something.
Either that, or they'll go out in the groups. They're never in between Germany. They either go on and win it or get to the final, or it's a complete scandal and they finish bottom of the group.
The whole country's booted up. No, that's true. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think we'll be. I'm not very excited for the tournament. Same as you. I just think the whole thing's a farce. A Winter World Cup, it's just not right, is it? Some things in the world just shouldn't be changed. That is one of them. But listen, Jonesy, I'm sure we'll get into it. I'm sure we'll still be watching a lot of the games. That kicks off next week. Thanks for staying with us this season. We're going to have a couple of weeks off, like I said. We will be back at some point just for a little catch up. I don't think realistically the spin-off podcast of me and James just talking about our lives. It's now maybe isn't the time to launch ourselves into that. So a couple of weeks off. Stay with us for when we come back. We're not sure when that's going to be. It'll be, like I say, just after the group stage at some point. Thanks for listening so far this season. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter at @WeAre_West Ham. I'm at William Pugh _ James at by James Jones. Instagram where We Are West Ham Pod. Get us on Facebook and YouTube at We Are West Ham Podcast. And you can email us at wearewesthampod@gmail.com. If you so wish, you can buy us a beer and support the pod as well at buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham if you fancy buying a pint for me or Jonesy, as a few of you have done so far, which we thank you for. And a few others have expressed interest in doing, and you want to do it now, that would be absolutely wonderful. That's buymeacoffee.com/weareWestHam. Thanks very much for listening. It was a disaster end to the pre-World Cup period for West Ham United. And frankly, it could be a disaster end to the year as well when we come back. The next time we play is Boxing Day, 1 month and 10 days exactly from now. But as I always say, keep the faith. I'm not really sure if I'm keeping the faith with David Moyes anymore, but we've got no choice for the next 6 weeks. West Ham, despite our league position, despite popular belief among most independent watching football fans and pundits, are still massive. Up the hammers, and we'll see you next month.